RunDNA has an incredible range of running and walking footwear, apparel and accessories, catering for anyone who is looking for the right shoe and fit. They're trusted by podiatrists and physiotherapists right across Adelaide. The RunDNA fitters advice is second to none. So if it's time for new walkers or runners, you can find RunDNA, 20 Manton Street, Hindmarsh, or the other location, 391 Fullarton Road at Fullarton. Both stores open 7 days a week, plenty of off-street parking. You can find them online as well, rundna.com.au. If you run or walk, then you need to run DNA.
It's Thursday, the 24th of April. Welcome to Hooked on Sport, your weekly wrap on sports topical issues, and we throw in an interview. Today we talk athletics, basketball and footy. Our guest this week is National Lacrosse player Olivia Parker, who will overview the state of the game in South Australia and this weekend's opening round of the local comp. Now, if you've been fortunate and had 3 days leave this week, on top of the Easter holidays, you've had a 10-day break. No doubt you're relaxed and ready to enjoy this episode of Hooked on Sport. G'day, Hookie.
10-day break. Oh, my goodness.
Crazy, isn't it?
I can't remember. I'd have to go back to my school kid days, the last time I had a 10-day break. G'day, mate. How you going?
Travelling
well?
well?
It's been a funny old couple of weeks, isn't it? I don't know that I love short weeks. I feel like I've got the same amount to do and just less time to do it. Less opportunities to get kids into childcare. So, great to be with you, mate. And, looking forward to getting into a couple of issues that we've got ahead of us today.
Now, before we jump into those issues of the week, I just wanted to acknowledge our supporters. Thanks for listening to our most recent episodes, which have basically been the biggest we've had in this second iteration of Hooked on Sport. That was the
new world record, Wallace.
Yes, our personal world record, Hookie.
We had our own little gout. Well, we wind assisted.
We were not handicapped. It was the coverage of a chat with Michael and Zoe from the Glenelg Golf Club. And if you haven't caught that episode, go and have a look for it. Anybody that's involved in sport will get something out of that episode.
Yeah, so Rob Vincekovic organised the guest for us. They've been amazing with promoting it for us. So a big thank you to Glenelg. There was a special on TV a couple of days ago that I'm yet to catch up with, Wallace, on KO Fox platforms. Now, I think the show is called How Good Is Golf? It's hosted by Paul Gow.
Yep.
And they did a tour of the course, which, of course, have been undergoing a major redevelopment at Glenelg. So I haven't played it for a couple of years, and I'm looking forward to seeing the new iteration of it. So I'm definitely going to be catching up with the KO episode and have a look at it from there, and then hopefully get down there. But, incredible team. Ryan Van Der Veen is overseeing the redevelopment. He's doing a wonderful job. And, Rob Vincekovic, good friend of mine, who's the CEO of the club. We appreciate all of his work, and we wish him all the best as they get to the end of their redevelopment, which I'll be interested to see where Glenelg is placed by the end of it. Can they rival Kooyonga for the number 2 place? Essentially, most people would regard Royal Adelaide as 1, Kooyonga as 2, and Kooyonga have been improving as well. So, could Glenelg rival Kooyonga for the number 2 spot? That would be interesting to see when all of when the redevelopment's complete.
Let's get started, Hookie. Adelaide Crows may have dodged a bullet.
Oh, I think so. And this is probably the old story of what is going on at the Western Bulldogs at the moment. So most people would probably be aware the Western Bulldogs, their number 1 draft pick from season 2020, Jamara Ugle-Hagan, is out of the game and looks like he may never return to the Western Bulldogs and possibly going to be an option to trade it at the end of the year. I don't really have the obvious fingerprint on the details of it all, but it seems like that there are some behavioural issues. There's some commitment to football. There's been a whole host of challenges around Jamara, and right now he is out of the competition. And it just reminds me of the fact that the Adelaide Crows were the club that drafted him at pick 1 in 2020. And we all knew the game plan. He was a part of the Western Bulldogs Next Generation Academy. And the plan was that the Western Bulldogs would have to spend a heck of a lot of points to be able to make up for the fact that he was being taken by a club at pick 1. And the Western Bulldogs went down that road, gave up a lot of draft picks down lower in the order to be able to take Jamara from Adelaide, and off they went. Adelaide made that decision, yes, strategically, because it did help them land a player like James Rowe, who could have conceivably been taken by the Western Bulldogs in front of them. But you can't make that decision unless you're prepared to take Jamara Ugle-Hagan at face value. And it could have been very easy for the Western Bulldogs to say, you know what, we can't afford this guy and all the points that will cost. Adelaide, he's yours, we'll take someone else. So imagine if that's how it played out, that Jamara Hagan out of footy on top of Tyson Stengel, who had been given away after some behavioural issues. Would Adelaide be in the situation now where they'd be giving away Jamara Ugle-Hagan as well? I mean, Tyson Stengel is something of a guide. And you measure all of that against the first round drafting backdrop that Adelaide have had challenges around. I think Adelaide overall have drafted pretty well, in particular if you look at second round down, but their first round draft picks in recent years, well, when I say recent years, go back before the most recent ones, because it's unfair to judge them, but 2019, so the one before Jamara Ugle-Hagan, Adelaide took Fisher Mackesy, quit the sport. In 2018, they took Chase Jones. They had two first-rounders. They took Chase Jones, who's now in their SNFL team, not in their best 22, and Ned McHenry, who's been delisted and is now coaching in amateur footy. 2017, they took Darcy Fogarty. That was a draft pick they received because they lost Charlie Cameron, who moved to Brisbane, and you'd say that's probably been a pretty reasonable pick, although Charlie Cameron was a big loss as well. 2016, they took Jordan Gallucci. He was delisted about 2 years later and is barely playing any footy at all now. Wayne Miller. He's been a very good player. He was the pick that they got for Patrick Dangerfield, but he's played, he'll play his 100th game this weekend in 10 years of footy, and resilience is a part of footy success, isn't it? So he's been semi-good, maybe semi-bad. And then Tom Duday, who was a free agency move to Brisbane a couple of years ago. He played 90 games for Adelaide. We took him at pick 17. We got 19. When I say we, the Adelaide Crow supporter in me standing out. My point is, we've had a pretty ordinary run with first-round draft picks. You're probably talking about 2 wins and 4 or 5 losses there. And if they'd taken Jamara Ugle-Hagan as well, that would have been a crisis for Adelaide, I think. In the end, Riley Thilthorpe is looking quite incredible. It's fine margins, isn't it? Imagine the outcry at Adelaide right now if Jamara Ugle-Hagan was an Adelaide Crows footballer. It would be chaotic, I reckon.
Now, Anzac Day footy is upon us. Collingwood and Essendon at the MCG, and then Freo and Adelaide Crows in Perth at night time. What are your thoughts?
I've got a question for you, Wallace. How much Anzac Day footy is too much Anzac Day footy? I grew up with Anzac Day footy. It's not new. It's been going around in the AFL/VFL. What was that, 1986? I think that first started between Collingwood and Essendon. And I've played in a reserves game on Anzac Day when Sturt played West at Adelaide Oval. But I always felt like it was a bit of a privilege for clubs who had probably won the premiership the year before. And I know the AFL does it a bit differently. But it's always been, I've been of the belief here in South Australia, we treat it as a grand final rematch. And we rail against the way Collingwood and Essendon sort of keep it to themselves, regardless of their form in the competition. But let's take you through this at the moment. In South Australia on Anzac Day, there'll be 2 SNFL games. So that's the grand final rematch between Glenelg and Norwood. And then for some inexplicable, well, not inexplicable, but for some reason, Port Adelaide and Central District will also play. And then in the Adelaide Footy League, the amateurs, there are 10 A-grade games being played across the 7 divisions on Anzac Day. I think that's a few too many for me. I would understand if you played grand final rematches from the previous year, because generally both of those teams go up and play in the next division. But because there's 10 A-grade games being played across the 7 divisions, that will mean there's 30 men's games in amateur footy being played on Anzac Day. I don't know. I'm uncomfortable with that. I just don't think it's quite the privilege it's become. I think it's Division 4 will actually play 3 of the 5 games on Anzac Day. It's largely been unregulated in the Adelaide Footy League, and that's okay. I mean, John Kernahan, who I've got a heck of a lot of time for, he's very, very clear. You don't have to support any particular charity. You can choose whichever organisation you want to support. You can do White Ribbon, you can do Rainbow, whatever it is that you want to support. Go ahead and support it. But I just reckon this is one that the Amateur League and even the SNFL should actually say to themselves, no, let's just have one game each year that is a trip. So, if you're talking about 6, 7 grades in Amateur Footy League, it's just one game in each grade each year that recognises the sacrifice of our Anzacs, and that's probably about it. The other thing that I'm really uncomfortable about with Anzac Day and the Adelaide Footy League is we've got 30 men's games and no women's games, not one women's game being played for Anzac Day tomorrow. uncomfortable about that as well. So, yeah, look, I understand it's unregulated. I understand that in community football, there's no guidelines from the RSL and those officers, but I just reckon there's a responsibility of football not to just treat this as a bit of a free-for-all, that it is a real privilege to play, and we just narrow our focus on it maybe to one game per competition.
Yeah, really good points you make. Now, the Adelaide 36ers will have a very different team in NBL 26.
Yeah, hey, what are you doing next summer, Wallace? You and I might be the point guard and the power forward, respectively. My goodness. So, 3 players have been lost to the club in the last few days. Kendrick Davis, who was the MVP last year, Sunday Desh, who's been a wonderful contributor for 5 seasons, and Lat Mahan, who came from the Cairns Taipans and has been here for a couple of years. If you don't follow basketball, I'll put it to you like this. If you follow cricket, we've just taken Steve Smith, Nathan Lyon and Alex Carey out of the Test cricket team. It's a huge, huge loss of players. Now, either the Adelaide 36ers are playing 4-dimensional chess we can't see by losing all of these players because they're going to bring in some superstars on the other way, or this is a real crisis emerging. Kendrick Davis notoriously had some blues with the coach. Sunday Desh, I think, is a real loss. Lat Mahan was a star player as well. So this could very well be a crisis emerging, and just seems like yet another sorry chapter in a club that, Wallace, it's run a little bit via schizophrenia. Players come in, players go out. Scott Ninnis, he was the saviour of the club as the coach that we absolutely needed in February of last year. By July last year, he was gone again. The new coach, our first sight of him, is a tantrum in front of invited media, for goodness sake. I mean, that's the first impression we got of this guy. There's been physical altercations in the dressing rooms. There was the fight with a fan at the Melbourne United game. All of it reeks of mismanagement. And Wallace, I'm very much of the opinion the Adelaide 36ers are the lens through which the sport in this state is viewed. Yep. We don't look at South Australian basketball via Basketball South Australia or the quality of the Central ABL competition. Central ABL, that's showing my age. It's now called NBL 1 Central. Or even participation numbers at clubs. I mean, they can all be rosy, but the Sixers are what provide the vision, for better or worse. That's how we see the health of South Australian basketball. And I think we're owed a bit more than that by this organisation. I commend anyone who takes on private ownership of a sports club for the state. But at the same time, we're owed more than this chaotic, restless, inconsistent management style that we seem to see right at the moment from the Adelaide 36ers. So the state's reputation rests upon it. And I feel like right now, unless they're doing something that we all can't see, and historically, that's not the case, we need an intervention of sort to ensure that South Australian basketball is put on the map for all the right reasons. I have an issue with the NBL in general. I'm sure I've made this point before. How is it that Olympic sports, so well government funded as it is, largely because of its participation numbers, do so much at NBL level for men's sport, and these clubs do absolutely nothing for women's sport? How they get away with it is absolutely beyond me. It's just another little point that I get frustrated with the 36ers and the competition in particular. But we cannot have this ongoing schizophrenia from our state's most obvious visual basketball outfit.
Let's turn our attention to the store gift. What are your thoughts in regards to the handicaps and how that was managed, with the expectation of a lot of non-athletic people thinking that Gout and Lachlan Kennedy should have been in the final?
Yeah, it is interesting, isn't it? I mean, in horse racing, you have a handicap system, but you don't handicap your horses to the detriment of them not being able to make the final. It is an interesting situation. We have 150-something athletes, I think it was, going for the last 6 or 7 spots in the final. So they've got to be whittled down somehow. And if you made it too difficult for Gout and Lachlan Kennedy, then they won't show up. But conversely, if you made it too easy for them, then the other 150 entrants don't show up either. It's a really difficult challenge to try and manage the fact that you've got these 2 professional athletes coming into what is amateur ranks. And it's a bit like, you and I play golf and we have a handicap, Wallace, and imagine if professional golfers came in and, we had to work out what is their handicap. Is it scratch? Is it +5? Is it -2? How do we calculate that? It's really, really difficult. And that's what I think was in front of them. The one point I want to make, John Evans won this event and he won it the hard way. he wasn't trying to skive away and protect his mark like we see in amateur golf as well. He went to Victoria and he won 2 races. He won the Terang Gift and he won the Geelong Gift. He gave everyone a perfectly reasonable look at him. They knew exactly what they were up against. You can't win those races and hide at the same time. So John Evans, the South Australian, who I feel like is getting a bit of a drive-by clip that maybe he was protecting his own handicap. That is absolutely not the case. He was there on his merits. He did everything by the book. He gave everyone a look at what he was doing. And the fact that he came up and won it should not be lost in this whole discussion over whether Gout and Lachlan Kennedy deserved a little bit more of a push. On the flip side, Brie Rizzo came off scratch and won it in the women's event. Yep. So, did the handicapper get that probably more accurate? Yes, I think that's reasonable, but it's not impossible to win from scratch, and John Evans isn't to blame here. He absolutely demonstrated everything that he could do, and he was given the appropriate mark as a result.
Hookie, there are some amateur footy clubs that haven't had their boots on for a while.
Make this one quick, Wallace, but can you believe these 2 clubs in the C grade level of amateur football, Port District in Division 7 and Adelaide Lutheran in Division 6, they started their season 4 weeks ago. They got to gather round, they didn't play. They got to Easter. The whole competition takes a week's off. They didn't play. They're about to play this week. No. It's an uneven numbered competition and they've got to bye. A month between game number 1 and game number 2. You'd almost forget how to play. See, coach gets out you and tells you now we've got to kick to see those big white sticks at that end. That's what we do. Good luck to those teams who won't play again this week. They'll be back in, May 3, I think it is.
After the break, we'll catch up with Olivia Parker.
If you're enjoying this podcast, I'd encourage you to take a listen to Beyond the Club. It's a project I've been working on with Flinders University. Now I co-host it with Professor Sam Elliott, and we break down all the latest research on how to maximise the experience of junior and club athletes. There's a range of resources, special guests, and cutting-edge info on how you can make your club a safer, happier place for your kids and their club mates. Beyond the Club, wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for your company on Hooked on Sport. We are going to discuss lacrosse. We're going to do it with the number 1 lacrosse player here in South Australia, certainly in my opinion, in pretty much everyone else's opinion, except for our guest herself, I'm sure, who'll be far too modest to take such credit. Olivia Parker from the Woodville Lacrosse Club, the South Australian lacrosse team, and of course the Australian lacrosse team. Thanks for your company on Hooked on Sport.
So much. What an intro. But sure, I'll go with it.
Olivia, we're going to talk about the upcoming State League season, which I know you're tremendously excited about, but we'll touch on a few other issues as well. Number 1, I noticed last weekend the South Australian boys and girls under 18 teams have cleaned up at the National Championships. It was down there at Brighton Lacrosse Club. They've beaten Victoria in both of the finals. It just goes to show there is a never-ending stream of talented young South Australians coming through.
Absolutely. They were incredible. What an absolute cleanup that they did on the weekend. Yeah, it was amazing to watch and see both the men and the women come through with the championship. It was very, very cool to be watching and also be a part of.
A few of those youngsters, your teammates at Woodville, I believe.
Yes, and I coach a fair few of them as well. There's 7 of the girls that played in that team play for Woodville, which is amazing. So feel very fortunate to coach those girls, but also play with a fair few of them as well. So, it was a special thing to watch with the win as well.
Can you put your finger on why South Australia continues to be so successful on a national stage? I mean, I understand that New South Wales and Queensland aren't quite the embraces of this sport that South Australia, Western Australia and Victoria are, but South Australia is the smallest of those 3 states, continually stands up at national level.
Yeah, it's been amazing. The back-to-back for the women and also the men. So, I think it's just so many great developments in terms of the juniors, the school programs, clubs really, putting in the volunteer work and getting out to the schools and doing clinics and making sure that we're growing the game as much as we can. We're very fortunate to have such high-level coaching here in South Australia as well. We've got the likes of Trish Adams, who's an Australian coach, but also Wendy Walsh, who was the under-18 state women's coach the last 2 seasons. She is an incredible coach and also did the Australian under-19s last year. So really fortunate as players to have such high level coaching. And I think that plays a massive part in the success as well.
Let's turn our attention to tomorrow. It is Anzac Day. It is the traditional opener in South Australian lacrosse, and you have the privilege of fronting up on grand final rematch day because your team, Woodville, went so close against Brighton last year, cracking grand final at East Torrens against Brighton. I'm sure you don't want to relive the last few moments of it. It was tremendously tight, but it is quite the honour for your club to be stepping out to open the season on Anzac Day tomorrow.
Absolutely. And it is such an honour, and I'm very excited to step out on that field with my team tomorrow and take on Brighton Bombers. I think we both teams have had a different playing lineup compared to last year in the grand final. So I think it will be a completely different game. I think it will obviously be still really close, but hopefully we get the win. We will get the win. I have to manifest that.
Yeah, you last played in the grand final, and it was another thriller. I reckon that was around about 2017 or 2018 at Norwood Oval. It went so close and then just dropped down that one level, and it went back to the traditional Glenelg-Brighton grand final. You seem to have stepped up this year. Do you feel like you're going to be a little bit more sustainable this time around?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we have such a great junior development coming through our Woodville. We have girls that are playing at high level state. I think we have a really strong future ahead at Woodville, and I'm really excited to be a part of that. Still, young enough to play and help lead these girls into what will be a great season this season, but also future seasons to come.
It seems like there's a lot of sisters in this group. It's like 4 or 5 pairs of sisters.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we couldn't believe it when we actually worked it out. We had a sister photo and we're like, this is practically the whole team. So that was pretty funny. But yeah, it's, it is truly a family sport. And I feel very much one of our values as a team is family. And that actually runs so deep that we are sisters.
Brighton will be your opponents tomorrow, and they'll be starting favourites for the premiership once again this year. They've won the last 7. I'm sure you look across at Brighton with a healthy dose of envy, but also some real admiration for what they've done. What is it about Brighton that they continually, they're the last one standing on grand final day?
Yeah, it's, they've got the recipe, right? They've got great coaching, a great connection. They also have a family tie within that as well. And I think they have this winning mindset. They've done it once before and they keep doing it year after year. So it is so impressive what they have achieved. Absolutely. But we're hoping to make that stop and actually have Woodville on that championship podium. But like I said, Brighton are very admirable in what they have achieved. 7 in a row is amazing and never been done before. So very cool for them.
Just touch on the remaining clubs in the competition. Of course, Glenelg, who've been very, very successful, even without winning flags, but certainly historically one of the power clubs. Burnside, who are probably just off the pace a little bit. I think they've missed a bit of experience. Certainly Sarah Lowe retiring from the game has had a bit of an adverse effect on the way they've progressed. And are we going to see North Eagles again this year?
Yeah, we're absolutely going to see North Eagles this year. They played against the under-18 state team in pre-season, and they're looking really good. They've got a new coach, Beck Halloran, who's really come through and is helping develop their club and helping the state league team develop, which I think is amazing, and credit to her. I think they'll be really stepping it up this season and really giving it to Glenelg, Burnside, Woodville, Brighton. It's really exciting for the competition as well. I think, the more teams, the better.
Just with the fact that lacrosse is heading to the Olympics in 2028, do you think that will allow clubs to maybe expand and we could see 6, 7, even 8 teams in the women's competition playing state league in the next 5 to 10 years?
Absolutely. And it's already, people, lacrosse is in the Olympics, like that is, kids dream of that in any sport. So to have lacrosse in the Olympics, it's such an amazing thing to grow our sport. And I think kids can now play lacrosse with the admiration of being a future Olympian. I think that is so amazing and something as a kid I dreamed of, but my sport was never in it. So to have the Olympic name attached to lacrosse is just going to grow the sport even more. And I'm just excited for what's to come for lacrosse. And, more kids playing, which will be amazing. And it's such a great game. And I think now that lacrosse has the Olympic title next to it, I think now everyone will see it and want to play.
I do want to talk about the Olympics and the Olympic format of the game shortly, but let's just touch on the men's competition. I know it's sort of at arm's length for you, Olivia. I mean, you play on different days as much as anything, so it's probably difficult to be 100% across what the Woodville men's team's doing, let alone the entire competition. But what are you expecting to see there? Brighton, of course, bounced back and won it last year after that epic North Eagles victory the year before, and it was almost a bit of a shame that was disbanded just in the weeks after that title happened. But what do you expect to see in the men's competition this year?
It's funny you say that. I actually asked, we had a Australian Invitational Olympic camp, and we had mixed with the men, which was the first time ever that had happened. And so I got a chance to actually speak with a couple of the players and chat about what they're expecting this season. And a lot of older players have retired, which we'll see a bit of a shake-up in the teams, a lot more younger players coming through. So especially from Woodville's side, I know that there's they're a lot younger team this season, but same with Glenelg and Brighton. Obviously, Burnside as well in the top 4. So I think those 4 will be really strong. Sturt as well. I think it'll be pretty close as what I can hear. But I think Friday will be telling with the Brighton versus Glenelg Anzac Day match.
100%. I think it was last October, Olivia, South Australia or Adelaide hosted the inaugural Olympic version of the sport, the national championships. It was franchises that were fresh and new. And I think you were drafted to the Sydney team from memory.
I was. Yeah.
Just in isolation, how did you find that event that was sort of picked up by its bootstraps and there were decisions being made on the fly, but it seemed like it had, by the end of the third day, had an incredible feel to it?
It was amazing, honestly, to be a part of their first ever Olympic tournament, sixes. It was incredible. It actually felt, and I said this in my post-interview, electric, and I still feel that to this day. I felt like I left that tournament being like, that was so amazing to be a part of, but also I know people watching were like, this is unreal. Like even my dad he's a traditionalist. He loves field lacrosse. And he was like, I love sixes now. After watching this tournament, it's so fast, it's engaging. It was really fun to be a part of. Lacrosse Australia did a great job on getting that off the ground and pushing that forward in 2024. And I'm excited for 2025. I think it's just going to be another step up on the year prior. Hopefully it's in Adelaide. I don't know where it will be, but it'd be pretty cool to be here in Adelaide and have supporters come down and watch.
You did say that you left that tournament excited. I think you left it a little bit bruised as well. My recollection is you and Ashton Hiron, who a star from Victoria, had quite the physical altercation. So there is perhaps a little bit more physicality in the Olympic version for the women than there has been in the traditional form of the game.
Yes, Ash is actually one of my she's from WA and she's one of my really good friends. And so we always say make each other better. So, that was her way to make me better. So left that tournament feeling a bit bruised, but wouldn't have it any other way. Honestly, it was really good fun.
I don't think it's any secret, Olivia, that you're one of the players earmarked as potentially heading to LA for the 2028 games. We're 3 years out. It's a long way away. I'm reliably told that you are training really hard, getting yourself into that mode of heading towards what's going to be a semi-professional sport for you soon enough. Does it all feel real yet?
No, not at all. Honestly, I just can't believe that it is a potential and an opportunity, and to be a part of that currently is just amazing. Every day it's like something new is happening and there's a new opportunity, or, just even talking about it gives me goosebumps. It's really cool to be a part of, and I'm excited for lacrosse and what's to come. And I feel very honoured and grateful to be a part of that in my era of time, I guess. I know a lot of players, retiring are like, damn, I wish, I was 5 years younger. But I just feel very lucky and very grateful.
Interestingly enough, you make that point. There are a lot of players retired now, many of whom who were still around for the last World Cup, where you were selected as an alternate and then got in to play a game on the back of, I think it might have been a COVID-related exclusion for one of the incumbent players in that team, scored an incredible goal against the United States in that game. So you've had a taste of it as someone who was a youngster coming in. I mean, you are going to be prime time for your age, and I guess everything else that you bring to the game is going to be pretty much tip top for you in 2028.
Oh, I hope so. I really appreciate the pump up. Yeah, I hope so. And, I'll give it my absolute everything. Train hard, really just give it my absolute all and do the country proud. I just feel, really honoured to be part of this era of lacrosse. And, it's really unfortunate for a few girls that, having babies and it's just not the right timing for them. But I know that their full support is backing whoever is selected and whoever's chosen. And, the support is massive.
You've been a star of traditional lacrosse, Olivia. You've won the Benithan Medal here in South Australia 3 times. I think that's led to at least 1, maybe 2 of the national, like the Brownlow Medal, if you like. You can tell me the name of that award. It's the Shelley Marr. There you are. Thank you. I'm glad I've got you here helping me with my research. I think you've won that a couple of times as well, but that's all in traditional lacrosse. To what extent have you had to adjust the way you've played? And I made mention that it's a bit more physical, but adjust the way you've played from 10-a-side to 6-a-side.
Yeah, it's definitely a different style. It's a lot quicker. You have to be able to think really quickly and be able to get shots off really fast. Whereas in field lacrosse, you have no shot clock. You have all the time in the world. So definitely have to adjust the thinking and the mindset behind strategies and like how to get goals. Shooting accuracy has to be 100% almost. That's so key and so important. So definitely have had to change my game and make sure that, shooting is something that I practice every day. But yeah, I think it is similar. It's got aspects of field and aspects of box. I've played box lacrosse before as well. So I'm really fortunate to be able to have played field and box. It's bringing those 2 games together and into one. So I feel like I've got a bit more knowledge in that space because of box. And box lacrosse is such a great game as well. It's very physical. Like you said, 6 is very physical. So it's very similar. And I think, bringing those elements into 6s is going to be beneficial to my game. But it's just learning and just always training really and playing as much 6s as I can.
Just to wrap it up, I can see the Serafina sign in the background, which is your place of work. A good mate of mine, Michael Siciliano, of course, is the big cheese there at Serafina. So just give us a quick wrap on what your role is at Serafina. And if people are in the market, where do they head?
Oh, well, I feel very grateful to work for a company that is so flexible with my lacrosse commitments. Honestly, Michael and Emily, who own this business as a South Australian owned women's fashion brand, and they're just like amazing bosses and amazing people. So if you're ever wanting to support a beautiful family business, it's women's clothing. So, partners, if you're listening to this, you can buy for them. But it's always everyday fashion. And so, it's a beautiful family business. So very grateful to work for an amazing company.
Michael would be across a lot of things, but I don't know that he's the fashion icon. He's not steering anyone into what to wear. I wouldn't have thought.
Yeah, absolutely his wife. Yeah.
Thank goodness for her. Olivia, thanks so much for your time. We wish you all the very best for the Woodville season, but and beyond as you pursue that dream of Los Angeles 2028. We hope it all comes together for you, but we really appreciate you joining us here on Hooked on Sport.
Thank you so much, Ben. Thank you for always supporting lacrosse and myself. You're amazing. Really appreciate being on here and being a part of it.
We'll see you during the winter.
Sounds good.
That's a wrap on another episode of Hooked on Sport. Special thanks to our guest Olivia Parker. A quick reminder to follow us and leave a review if you enjoy what you hear. Your support helps Hooked on Sport reach even more sports-minded people just like you. We appreciate your support and look forward to your company next week on Hooked on Sport.